Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games and part 13 of our How to Play Kill Team series. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be going through narrative play. So far in the series we've gone right through part 1 to 10 looking at the core rules, and we've also looked at part 11 open play, part 12 match play, but now it's time for the final part of the How to Play series where we'll look at narrative play. There are 3 different ways to play Kill Team, and these are narrative play, match play, and open play. And each method will have a series of steps that you should follow, and this is known as the mission sequence. And these steps are everything you need to know to play a battle, and are included in that 4 turning points in which your operatives attempt to complete their mission. Right, let's get started with narrative play, and this starts from page 95 of the core book, and they refer to narrative play as Spec Ops narrative play. There's quite a lot more to go through with a Spec Ops campaign than there was when we looked at open play and match play, but the mission sequence is very similar to match play. So in the first part of this video we'll concentrate on everything you need to know about Spec Ops narrative play that we haven't covered in any of the previous ways to play, and then by the time we get to the mission sequence, what I'll do is I'll timestamp it so that you can jump ahead during that mission sequence and just see the parts that are different to match play. When you start a Kill Team Spec Ops campaign, you must create a data slate. And a data slate is used as a reference and record of all information concerning your kill team in that campaign. It also includes narrative data cards for each operative in your kill team. The first step in creating a data slate is to select your kill team's faction, and from that faction you then select your kill team, adhering to all the rules we've covered throughout this series. During your campaign, the number of operatives on your data slate can change as recruits join and operatives are slain. You can only add more operatives to your data slate when a rule specifies, such as the operative assigned requisition that you can see on page 109 of the core book. Each time you do, complete a narrative data card for that operative accordingly, and you can remove an operative from your data slate before or after a game, but if you do, it cannot be added back to your data slate as it was removed, and all experience points, injuries, battle honours, etc. the operative has gained, they'll all be lost. You can never have more than 20 operatives on your data slate. Once you've chosen your starting kill team, it's good fun to establish your kill team's background, and you can make this up entirely yourself or use the background generator found in your faction's publication. Let's go through the example narrative data slate and narrative data card that's included in the core book on page 97, and you can find blank data slates and data cards in that book too. The data slate is on page 98 and the data card is on page 144 if you'd like to photocopy them. So let's start with the narrative data slate first, and here you can see we put our kill team's name, your faction keywords, selectable keywords, the base of operations that we'll cover in a little while. You put your history, any quirks you may have, requisition points and asset capacity, your stash, your strategic assets, and then any notes you'd like to keep here. Now let's look at the data card, and you'll need one of these for each operative in your kill team. And so here we've got the narrative data card. We put the operative's name, operative type, any battle honours they've had, battle scars, any notes you'd like to make, for example any power weapons they might have. Then here we put their rested tally, their specialism, any experience points, and here your operative's current rank, which determines how many battle honours it can have. Now let's take a look at experience and battle honours. When you start a Spec Ops campaign, your operatives are adepts who have been formed into a new Special Forces unit. As you play games with them, they'll earn experience points, which are known as XP, and progress through ranks, earning new skills and a fearsome reputation for doing so. When an operative is first added to your data slate, it always begins with 0 experience points. the Adept rank, and no battle honours. During a battle, the deeds of your operatives will not only determine who wins the game, but will also earn them XP. Each time a friendly operative gains or loses XP, adjust its XP tally on its narrative data card accordingly. After a battle, in the Upgrade Dataslate step of the mission sequence, operatives gain XP as follows. First, if an operative incapacitates any operatives in a battle, it gains 1 XP. Second, if an operative completes any mission actions in a battle and/or earns you any victory points for controlling an objective marker in a battle, it gains 1 XP. And third, each time you complete a condition of a TAC Op, select one friendly operative that scored you those VPs to earn 1 XP. If an operative has gained or lost enough XP, its rank will change. The XP threshold for each rank is shown in this table here. You can find this table on page 99 of the core book. Each time an operative earns enough XP to increase its rank, it gains a battle honour. Similarly, if an operative loses XP so that its rank decreases, it will lose a battle honour of your choosing. In either case, update its battle honours on your data slate. The first time an operative gains a battle honour, you must select one specialism for it to progress in. A specialism is a focused skill set to which the operative's talents are suited. Each operative's data card will specify which specialisms you can select for it, and you can choose Combat, Staunch, Marksman, or Scout. Once you've selected an operative's specialism, you then determine one battle honour for it to gain from that specialism. Each time an operative gains a rank thereafter, you can determine another battle honour for it to gain from that specialism. To determine what battle honour your operative gains, you can either roll 1d6 and consult the appropriate table to randomly determine a battle honour, re-rolling it if it isn't suitable, or you can select a battle honour of your choosing from the appropriate table. An operative cannot have the same battle honour more than once, and if a duplicate result is rolled, simply roll again until a different result is achieved. On pages 100 and 101 of the core book, you can find all the details for Combat, Staunch, Marksman, and Scout specialisms, and the battle honours that go with each. Now let's look at Casualties, and as you play a Spec Ops campaign, your operatives can suffer damage, which can turn into battle scars, which can then lead to, at worst, death. And managing these battle scars of your operatives is an essential part of a Spec Ops campaign, and such as knowing when to rest them so they can recuperate, and having a data slate with enough operatives to cover their absence. At the end of each battle, a casualty test must be taken for each friendly operative that was incapacitated in that battle. To do so, roll 1d6. On a 2+, the test is passed, but that operative can gain no more than 3 XP from that battle. On a 1, the test is failed, and that operative gains a battle scar. For each friendly medic operative that was selected for deployment, so long as it was not incapacitated during that battle, you can re-roll 1 casualty test after the battle. To determine what battle scar an operative gains, roll 1d6, subtract 1 from the result for each other battle scar that operative has, then consult the battle scars table that you can see here. Each time the result corresponds to a battle scar that operative already has, re-roll the d6 until a battle scar is determined that the operative does not have. At the end of each battle, operatives will attempt to recover from their injuries and prepare themselves for the next fight. All operatives recuperate wounds lost during the battle, excluding those that are slain, and are no longer considered injured. A recovery test must be taken for each operative on your data slate that has a battle scar. To do so, roll 1d6 adding 1 to the result for each consecutive battle in which that operative was not selected for deployment, known as rested. On a 5+, the test is passed. Remove 1 battle scar that operative gained from a previous battle. But note, you cannot remove a battle scar that the operative gained from the same battle. Now let's look at our base of operations. And in a Spec Ops campaign, kill teams will be operating independently for extended periods of time, so they must establish a base of operations. At the start of your Spec Ops campaign, your base of operations will be named, but will provide no other function other than a place for your operatives to rest and recover. However, certain requisitions will allow you to add to your base of operations. In your base of operations, you're going to store your equipment and rare equipment in your stash. Before a battle, you can select equipment to equip your operatives with, and as you play through your campaign, your kill team is going to also come across rare equipment. Rare equipment cannot be added to your stash like normal equipment, but once you've added it to your stash, you can access it just like any other item. When you gain an item of rare equipment, use the rare equipment tables and roll 1d6, selecting the result. If you'd rather, you can simply choose one that's most appropriate. Your stash cannot include more than 1 of each item of rare equipment, so if it's a duplicate result, then simply roll it again. For each of the items of rare equipment that you can see in the tables, when you equip an operative with it before a battle, you must select 1 relevant weapon, for example a ranged or a melee weapon, that operative is equipped with to be upgraded and gain that rare equipment's rule for the battle. You can only upgrade each weapon an operative is equipped with once. Your base of operations can also have strategic assets that supplement aspects of your Spec Ops campaign. Just like equipment, when you begin a Spec Ops campaign, your base of operations will not have any strategic assets. Instead, you must add them, such as by using the asset acquired requisition that you can find on page 109. Each strategic asset will specify its effects on your Spec Ops campaign, and you can never have more than 1 of each. Each time you add a strategic asset to your base of operations, make a note of it in the Strategic Assets section of your data slate. You start a Spec Ops campaign with an asset capacity of 2, but this could be increased by completing Spec Ops. Your asset capacity can never exceed 5, and if a rule would increase your asset capacity, but it is already at the maximum, you can instead use the asset acquired requisition without spending any requisition points. You can remove a strategic asset at any time before or after a game to make room for new strategic assets you'd like to add, and you can find strategic assets on page 106 and 107 of the core book. Now let's look at requisitions. When a kill team embarks upon a Spec Ops campaign, a reliable support network must be maintained to keep them at fighting strength. This is done using requisitions, and requisitions cost requisition points, which are a limited resource you can earn during a Spec Ops campaign. When you first create a data slate, you gain 4 requisition points. You will then earn 1 requisition point each time you complete a game with your kill team, but your requisition points can never exceed 5, and keep an up-to-date note of requisition points on your data slate. If you wish to use a requisition, you must spend requisition points equivalent to its cost. If you do not have enough requisition points to spend on that requisition, you cannot use it. Each time you spend a requisition point, reduce your total by 1, and each requisition will tell you when it can be purchased. Unless stated otherwise, there is no limit on the number of requisitions you can purchase, the number of times you can purchase each requisition, nor the combination of requisitions you can purchase as long as you have enough requisition points. And this is all found on page 108 of the core book, and I've never known a paragraph to have the word requisition in it so many times. Some requisitions upgrade an operative so that it interacts with rules in a different manner, for example with a weaponsmith. When you use such requisitions on an operative, make a note of its upgrade on its data card. And you can see on page 109 some examples of these requisitions. Before we move on to the mission sequence for our narrative campaign play, we've got one more category to look at, and that is Spec Ops. Once you've chosen your kill team and set up its base of operations, you are ready for action. And in a Spec Ops campaign, your kill team will be conducting Spec Ops, and a Spec Op is a campaign objective you must achieve over multiple games. By completing its operations across a series of missions, your kill team will further the goals of their faction and be commended for their exploits. Each player will determine their own Spec Op and will be working to achieve their campaign objective individually. This means a player in a Spec Ops campaign can play other players attempting to achieve different Spec Ops, and even play against players who are not taking part in a Spec Ops campaign, as their campaign objective is all self-contained. Each player selects a Spec Op from pages 110 to 117 of the core book, but you can also find more in other publications like the Octarius supplement book. Once you've selected one, make a note of it in the Spec Ops log of your Dataslate. Each Spec Op will have a series of operations that must be conducted in order. Once you've completed that operation, starting from the next game, you can attempt to complete the next operation. Once all of the Spec Ops operations have been completed, you will receive its commendation in the Update Dataslate step of the mission sequence. You should then assign your kill team to a new Spec Op, and a kill team cannot be assigned to a completed Spec Op again until it has completed 2 other Spec Ops. And to keep track of this, once a Spec Op has been completed, cross it out on your Spec Ops log and remove it once you've completed 2 other Spec Ops. At the end of any battle, you can choose to abort your uncompleted Spec Op, and that Spec Op is removed from your log, and you can assign it to your kill team again in the future, and you can assign a new Spec Op to your kill team instead. Now we've covered all the special rules for a Spec Ops narrative campaign, and so it's time to look at the narrative play mission sequence, and this is very similar to the matched play mission sequence, so I'll be timestamping it to make it a lot easier for you to navigate it. And if you've already watched the previous video on match play, then you won't have to watch all of this next segment of this video. I'll timestamp all 16 steps of the narrative play mission sequence and label them so that you know which ones are specifically used and unique to narrative play mission sequence. Let's get started with step 1 of the narrative play mission sequence, which is where we determine mission. The players determine which mission they will play. First, the players must select a mission pack, such as the one presented on pages 119 to 137 of the core rulebook. They must then select a mission from that pack, either by agreeing which one to use or by randomly determining which one to use. Step 2 is where we read the mission briefing, and each mission has a briefing that details the rules of the mission, the objectives, and gives you a map detailing the drop zones and where to set up any objective markers. Both players should familiarise themselves with this information before proceeding, as it will give key rules for the mission and how victory can be achieved. In step 3, we determine the kill zone, and players determine which kill zone is in use, either by agreeing which one to use or by rolling off, and then the winner decides. The players then set up its game board. In step 4, we set up objective markers. The players set up objective markers in the locations specified by the mission map. Then in step 5, we set up the kill zone. The players set up the terrain features, and this is done by following the guidelines that you can find on pages 76 to 80 of the core rulebook, or by following the configuration specified by the mission, if any. When setting up your terrain feature, the players should agree on the terrain traits of each part, and if players are using terrain features in the configuration specified by the kill zone, these terrain traits will be specified. In step 6, we select the drop zone. Players determine who will be the attacker and who will be the defender, either by agreeing what is most appropriate to the narrative or by rolling off and the winner decides. Some missions will specify which drop zone belongs to which player. Otherwise, the defender selects one of the drop zones for their operatives. The attacker has the other drop zone. In step 7, we select a kill team, and each player determines their operatives for deployment by selecting one kill team from their army list. They then select any operatives from their matched roster to be in that kill team, so long as their final configuration of operatives match the requirements of that kill team. Once both players have selected their kill team, they should reveal it to their opponent. If a player's kill team includes a leader operative, they add 2 command points to their pool. In addition, each player adds up the total number of battle honours of the operatives they selected for deployment, as well as how many strategic assets they have, and compares the total with their opponent. For every 2 that one player's total is less than the other, they can select one of the following for the game. They can have the option to add 1 CP to their pool, or they can have 2 additional points to select equipment with. In step 8, we select TAC Ops. Each player secretly builds a 6-card TAC Ops deck. Up to 3 of their cards can be their faction's TAC Ops as specified in their faction's army list. The remaining TAC Ops in their deck must be from their kill team's archetype, and if the kill team has more than one archetype, the player must select one of their archetypes to use. Each player shuffles their 6-card deck, then determines which TAC Ops they have for the battle in secret. To do so, they draw 2 cards from the deck, select one and discard the other. They repeat this process until 3 TAC Ops cards have been selected. They do not need to declare which TAC Ops they have selected. Now we're on to step 9, where we select equipment. Each player selects up to 10 points worth of equipment from their faction army list to equip operatives from their kill team with for the battle, following all rules specified in that equipment list. Once both players have selected their equipment, they should reveal it to their opponent, and after each game, all equipment is returned and an operative is no longer equipped with it. In step 10, we set up the barricades. The players alternate setting up their barricades, one at a time, starting with the defender, until the players have set up 2 barricades each. Each time a player sets up a barricade, it must be within 1 red pentagon of their drop zone and not on a terrain feature, unless it has the insignificant trait. In step 11, we set up our operatives, and the defender sets up all of their operatives first. Then the attacker sets up all of their operatives. When a player sets up an operative, it must be wholly within their drop zone and must be given an engage or conceal order. In step 12, we look at scouting, and each player secretly selects one of the pre-game scouting options. Each option will provide the player with an additional benefit. However, it will affect who has the initiative in the first turning point. A player selects a scouting option by secretly putting a number of D6 into their hand that corresponds to the number of the option they would like to select. For example, if a player would like to select the recon option, they put 3 D6 in their hand. And once both players have selected, they reveal the number of D6 in their hand simultaneously. They then resolve their selection starting with the defender. The scouting options are as follows. Number 1, we fortify, and for this you set up 1 additional barricade within 1 red pentagon of your drop zone. Number 2 is infiltrate, and once during the first turning point, when you select a ready friendly operative to activate, you can change its order. And then number 3 is recon, and for recon you perform a free dash action with 1 friendly operative that is wholly within your drop zone. If both players selected the same scouting option, the attacker decides who has the initiative. If both players select different scouting options, then the initiative will go to the player who's chosen Fortify. If neither have chosen Fortify, then it will be the player that chose Infiltrate, and if neither have chosen Infiltrate, then that just leaves Recon, and that would mean both players select the same scouting option, so again the attacker will decide who has the initiative. Now it's on to step 13, where we begin the battle. The first turning point of the battle begins, and in the first initiative phase, initiative for the first turning point is determined based on the player's choices in the scouting step. In step 14, it's time to end the battle. The battle ends after 4 turning points have been completed. If one player has no operatives remaining in the kill zone, the other player continues to play out each remaining turning point until the battle ends. Step 15, we determine the victor. At the end of the battle, the player with the most victory points is the winner of the game. If players are tied, then the game is a draw. The number of victory points you can earn is detailed on page 117 of the core book. Now we're on to step 16, which is the final step in our narrative play mission sequence, where we update our data slates. Each player updates their rosters by completing the following 4 steps. Step 1, take casualty tests. Step 2, update experience. Step 3, take recovery tests. And step 4, complete operations. And this was all covered in the previous part of the video. That now covers everything you need to know to play narrative play, and it also brings us to an end of our How to Play series. But I've got lots more Kill Team content on the way, and so there's going to be loads more coming. But in the meantime, there was a great suggestion by a subscriber, so thanks BB, who suggested that we should do like some kind of Q&A video, and I thought that'd be great fun. So I'll be doing a video going through any questions you may have about the rules, painting, building, the Octarius box contents, terrain, and anything else you'd like to ask about Kill Team. So if you've got any questions that you'd like to include in that video, please add them below in the comments. You can find loads of other videos on my channel for Kill Team and other games, and these videos include painting, deep dives, how to play, and many other topics. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, and if you've got any questions, please add them in the comments section below. It'd be great to hear from you, and if I can help you out in any way, that would be awesome too. But thanks so much for watching. Can't wait to see you in the next episode of the series. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. If you like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page, and thanks to everyone who's joined so far. It's really awesome. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, share ideas and help each other out, and you'll get some perks there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I'll put a link in the description, and it'll be great to see you there.